Hello, Squiggle Mom here. I am ready to make my next video. We're moving on from a pleated filter pocket mask to a fitted cup shape mask. The pattern that I have been using the most comes from the CraftPassion website, and I will put the URL in the video so that you can see it. Step 1. Gather your materials. For this mask, you're going to need fabric, of course, polypropylene liner, nose pieces, your pattern, your elastic, and thread. Your tools that you're going to need are a threading tool, an iron and an ironing board, an iron and an ironing board, a good pair of scissors, a sewing machine, some pins, and I think that's it. When you go to the CraftPassion website, you'll actually get a page that has your pattern on it. For each size, there are two pattern pieces. One is for the medium, the lining, and one is for the front of the fabric. For the lining, we use our Halyard H600 polypropylene. It's used in autoclaving in medical settings, and we think it's a really good filter. It also reduces the moisture buildup and has a soft feel against the face. So we recommend this as your filtering material. And then we only use one layer of fabric on top of it because it is a good barrier against little buggy things, viruses, and so on. So here I've already cut out the Halyard H600 filter, and that's the lining. And then I've cut out the fabric. On this one, when you have a pattern like this, one thing you will find is that it gets very hard to line up your pattern edges when you cut like this. So I am also doing an experiment where I take the pattern piece and I fold it so that the point at which the seam line is at one point is reached. And what that does is when I make my cut mark, which I will do right here, I use a Sharpie because it's easy. And I just draw along the pattern line. And super. And then I do like this. Then I just cut to the shape. And I'll show you what is happening when I do it, or why I'm doing it like that. And we'll do a little experiment as we go. So here it's cut out. I'll put the pins back. And you'll see it's all joined at the center. Here we go. And the intent is that right here, you'll come up, the stitch will get closer and closer to the edge here, and then pick up again here so that at some point you get some continuity of pattern. Okay, now I'm going to cut the second filter, you might notice that I'm only using a single ply of the filter. Whether you use single or double, there are a lot of possible reasons you might use one or the other. If you want to use the single, it's cooler, and this is California, and we had a really hot summer. I was doing double ply the whole time because double ply is what's recommended by the University of Florida if you're in a hospital setting. But most of the people who purchase our masks are not in hospital settings, so they use single. So it was okay for us to use a single ply. The purpose changes. Watch this. I do like this to put the right sides together, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stitching along the line here and then opening it all out so that we hide the seam. There are a few ways you can do this stitch, but that's one of them. There's a fair amount of work that goes into the making of this particular style of mask. Well, the way I make it, that's for sure. And, oh, I do want to point out, see, it's a little crumpled here. You want to get rid of your wrinkles before you start sewing, because you cannot iron the fabric. You cannot iron the mask because the polypropylene will melt. So let me take some time and do that.
We trim this, and then we trim this really close to the edge so that, there we go, perfect. Okay, so that's one. Then let's do two. And I will do this one, but stitch on this side so I can better see what's happening here. And then I'll explain it as I do it. Okay. So we start about a 1/4 inch out. And then we go this way. And I'm coming to the edge. And I can sew the edge, but I'm also making sure I go all the way at least at one point. Okay, that wasn't too bad. So then when I trim this, I'm going to trim it like this. Hold it up a little bit higher so you can see. See what's happening here? It doesn't matter that the fabric isn't all the way out. Now let's open it up and see what we got. So the first one is this. And then we open this up here. So you see what's happening here? The pattern is not aligned. And on the second one, which is this, it's not going to be aligned everywhere, but it's aligned at least at 1 or 2 points, which this actually looks pretty decent, right? So this green, this looks continuous, and look at that, that looks continuous. And then down here, continuous, right? So this is definitely a much sort of cleaner joining. The next step is to add tape to the top and the bottom. So for this, I'm going to use, here I have a couple of widths of fabric, and I'm going to use the thinner one because they are for younger kids, right? So smaller masks. And I don't bother to do too much pinning because it's takes extra time, and when you're sewing a lot, then, you know, you kind of get used to the fact that you don't need quite as much finesse. Or maybe I should. I don't. So just pull this out. Maybe that's why my masks are not always even. Okay. Here we go. So this is this. Okay. Here we go here. Okay, so there we go. Do it again with the other one. Okay. Okay, so this is it cut. Nice. Now we just measure on this side to make sure that they're about the same width, because you don't want one side chubbier than the other. Okay, and then now we trim it. Alright, so we trim this here. Okay, that's one. And then two. Okay. Now, of course, we could have used a different color fabric for the tape, which does sometimes add a nice touch. You know, it makes it look a little bit more special. I'm going to do it on this side. No, I'm going to do it on this side. Okay, it's nice. So pretty. This fabric is amazing. Super duper cute. Right, so there we go. Next step is to sew on the nose pieces. But because this is a thinner tape, plus it is a smaller size, I'm going to use 1 wire. So I'm going to cut my wire down the center. The nose guard, nose piece, nose wire, whatever they call it, is to help hold the mask closer to your face. And I'm just going to measure the center here. I have a marking on my desk. And ta-da! And it sticks, but you have to sew it in place because it could still come out. And then what I do, because the nose wire is a little bit pokey, I cut a little piece of fabric and I stick it under the wire and I stitch this way so that I can make sure that the wire is not going to stick out and tear the fabric or just look ugly, right? Okay, that's one. And I'm doing everything in double. But before I do that, I'll just finish this part off. Oh, and I forgot to do it on this side. Oh well, too bad. This is kind of a nicer fabric anyway, so it is kind of thicker. It's a Hoffman. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Put this over. Very, very beautiful fabric. Make it like this. I fold over. Right, so there we go. 2 masks finished. All in what, 5 minutes? Not. Okay, 1, 2. Cute. They're both for ages 3 to 6. And okay, so then what we do is we use elastic. I use 11 inches of elastic, and that's kind of a lot for a kid's mask, especially age 3 to 6, but I have had people come to me with masks that do not fit their kids and ask me to extend the elastic, which, as you might imagine, that is a whole different affair, right? I should do it from this side. Yeah, I think so. There we go. So there we hold on to this end. There. It's an air loop. And we just tie it. So for the elastic, you can use 1/2 inch or 1/8 inch. I use 1/2 inch or 1/8 inch. I do. I use 1/2 inch or 1/8 inch depending upon what I have in hand. And right now I have run out of my 1/8 inch, so I'm using 1/2 inch. So that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so there's one. And then we put it in the sanitizer, the UVC machine. And we're ready to go. So that is one. Super cute, super cute. I think this should have had a little bit more. But you can see you can do it like this, and then it stands up. Now let's make 2 more. And then we'll do the second one. And this little threading tool is just a little bit of floral wire. It's stiff, so it can pull the elastic through, and then voila, we are finished. Finished. Okay, 2 cute little masks. Right, 2 super cute little masks.